Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Today Show. I'm so excited about today because it just feels like old times. Ramin Modiri and I have done finance workshops and classes together and have been on the air together for a while now. So, welcome to the show, Ramin.
Oh, thank you so much. It's wonderful to be here.
Great. Well, as usual, we like to talk about the things that people don't want to talk about. So today, money, and and you have we've talked about this before, but it was requested today that we speak about celebrities, athletes, people who win the lottery, why they go bankrupt, and that's going to be the crux of our conversation this morning. But before we get started, I have a few things I need to share.
Sure.
Yesterday was our inaugural show, the Today Show, broadcasting 5 days a week right here on the TDC channel, streaming live on your home TV, our YouTube channel, Lori Davis Show host, Self Worth the Missing Link, Superstars Facebook page, and so many other platforms for me. It's just amazing how we're expanding and growing. And I know you love that whole concept of expansion, right?
Absolutely.
It's necessary for success. We'd love to thank the Disability Channel, though, especially for providing us with this opportunity to broadcast and be part of that family that does so much great work for veterans and people who want a career in the media business. And Jay Stoyan, our founder of the TDC, also recently taken on by Sean Stockwell and Dana on Your Home TV and all of the support they've provided to get us up and running. And congratulations to them on their success, now broadcasting in 80 countries and up to 40 million viewers so far. So we're really honored to be here. We have some special gifts and giveaways, but I'll about those in a minute. So let's go to you, Ramin, and just maybe a little catch up. How are things in Southern California? What's the weather like? Because we're in the great Northwest. It's raining, and we're happy to keep away the wildfires. Over to
Yes.
you.
Yes. No, actually, it's a beautiful, gorgeous day. It's in the 70s Fahrenheit. And yes, it's May. Cannot complain. So, yeah, it's. I was in Canada a week ago. So here I'm back to Southern California. Really enjoyed my visit. And it's
Mhm.
wonderful uh, time that I had. Beautiful people and hospitality and the nature, and but it's also nice to be home. So
Yes, always good to get home. And what about those great Canadian Rockies? I know they have the Rockies in Colorado and all that, but you know what? We're a little bit partial here.
it
And we had to show you why, right?
was beautiful, absolute breathtaking.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's get started. We have about 10 minutes before we take a little commercial break, and then I'm going to talk about that. So let's get started with a conversation around all the money that's available for professional athletes, lottery winners, windfalls, because sometimes people get inheritances. Celebrities make gobs of money. Corporate executives. I'm watching a new series. I think I shared that with you. And it's all about this huge uh, real estate mogul and businessman who all of a sudden finds himself almost $1 billion in debt. So I think you might enjoy that. And it's Jeff Daniels. We'll put a plug in for the series, The Man of Full, I believe it's called. So, yeah, over to you. So, let's talk about those acquisitions and then we'll get into what happens.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, so it's interesting that in my 40 years career in investment management, portfolio management, I've come across actually three lottery winners, and I've worked with uh, professional athletes managing investments, and uh, there's a lot of common theme when there's this big windfall. And today, I think we'll discuss the roots of it, why these things happen, these financial failures, really. I'm going to focus more on athletes because they are even more special than the general public, and we'll discuss that. So celebrities have their own, and I work with celebrities, but athletes are different. A couple of interesting statistics. This goes back actually to 2009. Sports Illustrated did the study and found out like 78% of the National Football League players, the NFL players in the United States, they actually go bankrupt or they have financial distress. This is 78%, 2 years after they retire. 2 years.
Wow.
And then when it comes to NBA, the basketball players, it's 60% after 5 years. So the question is, what happens? The good news is now the leagues, and there are not many of them. There's MLS, there is NFL, and MLS is the Major League Soccer here in the United States. They are more aware, so they're offering some retirement, but generally, these athletes have no out. So um, that's what it makes them. I think what makes these athletes special and why they go through these difficulties is just imagine as a when you think about normal life cycle of careers, generally we have 30, 40 years. You go to college, you come out, or you choose a trade or you become entrepreneurs. So we have this expansion of 30, 40 years. Just imagine we put this in a capsule, and average athletes is about 5 years, 4 to 5 years.
Wow.
Just think about if all our earning power was in that amount of time with all the physical and mental stress on top of that. And then on top of all this, imagine we put all that work capsulized in maybe 1 hour. You're basically playing a game in 1 hour. And during that 1 hour, and now again, as an average worker, you work 8, 9 hours, so it's spread around. No, you're performing, you have 1 hour. On top of that, again, it's capsulized that during 1 hour, how much of the time you are in control. Someone like Messi, which is now is the greatest soccer player, some say, he only has the ball in a 90-minute game. He only has the ball maybe for 11 minutes. So think about all those
Wow.
years of 40 years, everything is capsulized. So they are really, it's the minimalization. So there's tons of pressure on decision making. And then they come out to these, like you just mentioned, lottery, a huge amount of earnings. And what do we do? Why a lot of these athletes and celebrities and talk about lottery winners, they fail. Um, there's there's root causes which we'll go through it, but also these athletes are under pressure all the time. One day they're a hero, one day they're a zero. The social media now, everything is so instantaneous. Before you had to wait for the newspapers to come out. At least you had few hours of hopefully time to digest it. This is instantaneous. You don't have a good game, my God, you hear it immediately. So there's tons of pressure on them besides the physical pressure. So these are the specialty of, again, with athletes. So that's what I think it give us a little understanding what they go through and why they are constantly under the pressure and why they make these decisions when it comes to financial decisions. So that's just the starting why.
Mhm.
But why the failures? Why we should have about 70%, 65% of athletes going bankrupt? I mean, they make millions. I mean, when you think about outsider, we always think about, oh my God, they are prima donnas. They
Yeah.
all these money and oh my God, they're complaining. All my life I worked for, I don't know, 30, 40 years. I don't make what they make in just one year. or 1 week. Some of them, they make tremendous amount of money. So there are many causes, um, and I'll start with actually more of mindset that and beliefs that you're very good at it is the lack of preparation, but also the belief system that we have received from our parents. So all these belief systems is, the old saying, money doesn't grow on the tree. Money is the root of evil. So all of a sudden you have these concepts of, do I want to keep that money? Do I want to get rid of that money? What is my self-worth? I work with traders that they've actually worked really hard making millions out of nothing, and they end up completely losing it, self-sabotaging it. The reason is it goes back to the roots of the childhood. So sometimes they don't feel, a lot of times they're not deserving because the parents, the father said, oh, you're no good. You never end up being anything. The athletes are very good on the intelligence of sports. Celebrities are in arts and entertainment, but not so good on other things, whether it's the education about finances, but also the self-value. So they all express their value in that athleticism, but holding on to money, not so good. Other problem, the major problem, I think majority of people who come to the money, and it starts, again, we talk about lottery winners, is the lack of education, especially when it comes to finances. United States, I would say 45 to 47 states, they have sex education when you're in school. Very few have about financial education. So there is no emphasis on financial education. So how would you be able to manage when you have this windfall if you've never been educated? The United
Right.
States is in the mid-range globally of understanding money. So we have to understand, what is this money for? And we don't have that. And of course, countries like United States, which is very consumer driven, and we're getting a lot of developing countries coming to that, is all about spending money. You're not supposed to save,
Right.
money and invest it. Hey, let's buy the best toy, the latest toy. You get a Christmas gift. Oh man, we got to help the economy. The kids are out there buying games, and the government, the economy, they love that. So that's the mentality, and that's what ends up being, a lot of athletes, they become a big toy buyers for a couple of reasons. Again, that's what, they got the Lamborghini or Ferrari as a toy. They buy these, entertainers buy this big clock around their neck, golden stink, or you go to their toilets, everything is in gold. And that's one of the reasons, because they've been programmed to spend the money. But also, a lot of these athletes, they've had a very humble beginning. So when you have a humble beginning, really, when you've been hearing, it goes back to money doesn't grow on the tree. When you keep hearing that,
Mhm.
you
Right.
don't have that, again, that freedom to buy what you wanted. So now we come to this money, you become a child again. Oh my God, I got this money, I can live my childhood. And they start overspending. So
Wow.
again,
Mhm.
the psychological reason. Um,
Right.
I mentioned again about the self-sabotage. Sometimes that self-worth is not there.
Mhm.
So you think, God, do I deserve this? I know I'm a good athlete, but all this money, oh my God, what am I gonna do? So it's not thinking about the future, because sometimes the future, we don't think it's gonna be here. We
Okay.
feel, yeah,
Awesome. So we're going to take a little break. I think
awesome.
this would be a good time and get our thoughts together. And when we come back, Ramin will share with us, some of the ways that that money flies away. And I don't think that that's really. I think that's more common than we know, not just amongst the wealthy, but also middle class and poverty levels. What we do with that money. So we're going to take a 30-second break. And the break coming up, there's nothing there right now, but you could be there. You could be there with your product, your program, and your service. And if this is something you'd like to do, I'll put my contact information up and you'll be able to reach out to me. So we're just going to take a little 30-second break and
Awesome.
just try and imagine your business, your book, your products being promoted here on the Today Show. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we're here on the Today Show, compliments of the Disability Channel, streaming on your home TV, Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and we have more to add. The list just keeps going and growing. And I'd like to just take a moment, Ramin, to remind our guests that you received some gifts today, and you'll be getting an email from Kathy Bell. And shout out to Kathy Bell, who is our backup when it comes to making sure our guests get their digital gifts. And one of them is a signed poster from Jay Stoyan with Flanagan's, his upcoming series that he's going to be broadcasting
Wow.
and created, something he's been dreaming of for 20 years. And Flanagan's, The Life of the Inside, I think it's something, Life on the Inside of an Irish Gang. And so that'll make for a very interesting series as well. And then, of course, our guest, Ramin, will offer up a gift also, which I'm thinking could be some of his valuable time. So he'll announce that a little bit later. So back to you, Ramin. Thank you for the opener. And now let's talk about what happens. What happens?
Well, continuing on that, yes, one of the things, this is very common, like you just mentioned, doesn't have to be about wealthy athletes. It's generally, when there's a little bit of windfall, it could be celebrities, lottery, or even career success. You know, we are, even the parents with their children, when there's some money, is the question is, who do you go for advice? Who do you trust? So again, especially if we've had a humble beginning, the family and our community becomes the place that we feel solace. We feel that confidence of going back and share our challenges, but also our rewards. So what happens, and I've seen it again with the lottery winners, all of a sudden you find out that you had the fifth cousin living in Timbuktu shows up and says, "Oh, you know, I saw your grandmother's niece's daughter or whatever it was." And, you know, it's like, I know them, or we were neighbor when you were 3 years old. So the problem is there's this type of pressure, or if you played in little league, all of a sudden everybody shows up. Remember, we would help you, but also seeking advice. And that's a huge problem when, and I experienced it personally. I had worked with a few soccer players, but also an NBA, 18-year-old was drafted for NBA in late 80s. And we were putting a financial plan, and all of a sudden the cousin shows up, says, "Oh no, I know what to do." And, you know, he was just started working in the insurance industry. All of a sudden became the financial advisor. And this kid, 18-year-old, was getting $10 million contract. So the problem is there is no really a financial advice that which is solid, again, built for them. It's more of a trusting the family. The family thinks that we know what is best for you. And even today, which we've come a long way, because there are organizations that professionally do help these athletes and celebrities. And we do have, you know, some of the agents have, used to be my days, the agents used to be these cigar smoking, you know, really not much of a knowledge. There was like a wheeler dealer. That those days have changed, but still, even today, I know some NFL players, NBA players, that major soccer players that I know. The father, or actually in NFL, I know the mother is their agent, and they're doing the retail contracts. All the other things that a few years ago they had no clue. So and that's a big problem as well, making the wrong business decisions. All of a sudden, these athletes are restaurant owners. They own, they're involved in these commercials, whether it's like a gold coins, or they get involved with the things that they really have no experience. Also, these athletes always think invincible. The celebrity think that, oh, this is going to go on forever, but we are not invincible. Your body physically just cannot take it. Nowadays it's like 2029. You've been getting enough beating up. So uh, another reason is for these again, celebrities overspending, is the public expectation. I'm
Oh,
not supposed to wear the same thing. I'm successful, so I have to show it. Imagine showing the same outfit uh, to any type of event, or you got to come out, having a house that it's not, extravagant. And for those reasons, because of the lack of education, there is no plan B. So they are stuck. So you have 4 or 5 years, and then what? I'm 30 years old, and what do I do? They become maybe broadcaster. They end up coaching. There's not much really future, and that's becomes a problem. Especially, there's a lot of times you have the physical health and mental health really at that time showing themselves. So,
mhm.
you mentioned about causes now. So these are kind of the roots of the things. But how do they lose all that money? We know people who made $400 million as an athlete and ended up filing for bankruptcy. As an average audience, listening to us, it's like, oh my God, if I only had like 10 million, the things I could do, I would invest, I put like few $1 million for rainy days. I mean, that's the first thing, right? We would think about, our family, how we protect them. How could you lose 400 million or 100 million, 200 million? Well, believe it or not, it's a lot easier than you think. So the the one root cause is divorce. Remember, these are young athletes. All of a sudden, there's a fling, or some of them have the high school sweetheart or youth, and I know a few athletes that they've done that and they're happy, or they're not even married. They got 3 or 4 different girlfriends. But it doesn't matter even if you're married, because of the laws. All of a sudden, that all when the money comes in, and of course they party, they do silly things, so they give that tool to their partner, and generally happens with male. Now we have female, successful female athletes too, so it goes both ways, by the way, now, because the world has changed. Well, divorce is the first biggest culprit. A lot of people lose, and you can ask CEOs and very successful people in the entertainment industry and technology. You know how that happens. And I had one lottery winner in 1980s. They were already wealthy, but right after they won, I think $4.5 million, it was down the hill. The husband started drinking heavily. They had a beautiful 7-year-old son. They went through divorce, and life became hell. So money is not really all the solution that we think. Money is just a tool to take us where we want to go. What is our ultimate passion and mission in life? That money definitely helps if it's right here and in heart. Once you have these two, it's the most beautiful thing. But money in the hands of, with the not right guidance and not right direction, that's when it becomes a root of evil. That when there's no money becomes a root of evil. So anyway, I'm doing a lot of talking. I'd love to hear some of your. I know
Oh
you have
no,
funny
that's all right.
stories. Doing
I'm enjoying. Well, when you said money is the root of all evil, I'm actually thinking about it's the lack of money that is the root of all evil. And as I see our crime rates going up, especially in the area of theft, all of these store break ins and home invasions. And if I have what I need, I don't need to do that. So, unless I'm just, a bad seed. But yes, and divorce definitely uh, takes its toll for sure on everyone. It can put people in a very devastating financial situation after the separation of a couple. So yes, no, that's great. We'll take a break in about 4 minutes, but back to you to
yes.
keep us rocking and rolling here. No, it's all good.
So the second big cult, believe it or not, especially in you think about Scandinavian countries, Western Europe country, United States, is taxes.
Oh yeah.
Athletes, again, it goes back to lack of financial education. They really don't realize, well, we're making all that money, we got to pay taxes. The same thing with celebrities. And they get the wrong advice. Sometimes they hear, oh, and don't worry about doing this. And what happens, and you've heard about, in entertainment business or at least they end up paying penalties, and all of a sudden taxes wipes out a lot of their wealth. And some of my heroes in tennis field and other things have been, out of because of the government pursuing them, which in some ways, taxes are actually voluntarily, but anyway, that's another story for our politicians. But yeah, taxes are the second biggest culprit. The third biggest culprit is here your overnight success, and you are a nice bait for lawsuits. People
Oh,
love to come from left and right. They wait for you to sneeze, and then next thing you know, your back door. So a lot of times, again, it's not just for athletes. Anytime there's a windfall, these things happen, and unfortunately, that becomes a huge culprit cause.
hmm
The
hmm
fourth one I would say is goes back to our spending, out of control spending. Again, because we think we're invincible, the money will come. Oh, not to worry, let's enjoy today. Extravagant parties, all of those things, giving money away left and right. But that would be the fourth culprit of the spending. And it doesn't. You don't have to be very wealthy to be able, have, if you have out of control spending,
hmm
that that will
hmm
be all of your financial situation. So
Yeah, and I was thinking something came up for me just right now when you said that, because this happened to me personally. Um, you know, I was left at 34, and there was, chunks of change in the bank, and I spent because I was looking for ways to make me feel better. So, uh, thinking that it would compensate how I was feeling about myself, or, I'd see an extravagant pair of shoes, and I'd say, I deserve those because I've just been through hell. That kind of stuff.
excellent. Yes, very good point. So I'll give you one more before we go to the break. And
Okay.
that will be, we talk about again these business decisions. My God, unwise business decisions. Come up with this special theme. I mentioned about restaurant, all kinds of businesses, or investing in things that we have no clue just because somebody suggested it. We say, well, I have a backup. I can do this. And I have to tell you, there's a lot of other athletes that they've been very successful. I don't want to use names, but I'm sure they are some of the wealthiest people around the world because they made the right decisions. They really use their own um, uh, the, the the brand. They have become a brand. That's a key of a good business decisions. So Um, that, but usually unwise business decisions are another
Cool.
culprit. So I got a few more, but we come after the
You
break.
bet.
Share it.
And I just heard from our founder, Jay, and he's going to pop in
Oh,
at quarter to the hour with a special guest from AMG. So we'll
excellent.
be looking forward to that. So we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Dr. Lori Davis and Dr. Ramin Modiri here today on the Today Show. And today we're talking finances, and just heard we're going to have a little special visitors at quarter two. We're welcoming Jay and a friend of his, Dwayne Farley from AMG. So, yeah, we'll look forward to seeing them in a few minutes. So, back to you, Ramin, to fill the docket here until we take our next break. Over to you.
All right, thanks. So going down to the list, we are down to number five, and then now number six. Mentioned about these hangers on, people who show up from every corner and put the guilt on you. Oh, can you help me with this bill? Can you pay? And again, when we have the concept of living just for today and think we have all this money and the more money will come, you end up spending without really thinking it through. The seventh thing is you briefly mentioned in a different way of that pressure on us. You end up, again, it's the environment, also the pressure, the social pressure with the drug abuse, alcohol abuse, sex abuse. It's the environment that they're in. They need to perform, they need an out. So, unfortunately, that's not cheap. That takes a lot of money and that becomes very expensive. The eighth culprit or the cause is lawyers and advisors and the agents. They're the people who are supposed to guide you the right way, but unfortunately, there's always someone who's not really looking out to your benefit. They're looking out to their own benefit, and it has happened quite more often than you think. Again, it has gotten better because of the education and the organizations coming in. They actually put you through some kind of education before even getting the contract. But yeah, there's lawyers, advisors, agents that they, uh, they make things unfortunately worse for you. The ninth thing is, again, large and extravagant monthly expenses. My God, there's you think about all these celebrities going on the tours and they have to have these special things and uh, the house. I mean, now you have a large house and then you have to maintain it. There's insurance, there's a lot of other services. People don't realize just because they own one asset, that's it. They have a lot of upkeeping with those things. So that also adds up. Um, we've had in celebrities and even in athletes, we've had that we call them one hit wonders. They come in, they have one success, they think they are again invincible, and then next thing what happens is unfortunately nothing, no money is coming in while everything else is spent. Goes back to again financial education. You get poor financial advice because of the sources. Everybody all of a sudden has become this experienced advisor, expert. Um, and then this is very important, and I think that's our emphasis. We've talked about it, Dr. Lori, is financial education as a whole is, I think, is the foundation of success. We got to have education in everything we do. Um, understanding ourselves, knowing that who we are, and the financial education which is neglected. So, I've worked with different universities. I've lectured MBA programs, and here they spend like $80,000 a year on the education. They cannot even manage their budgets, their checkbooks. They have no clue, and yet you have a grandma who's had maybe 9 years of education. She knows exactly how to budget because she's lived through it. So it is important to have that financial and common sense education. And that's what we need, are some of the experiences and the wisdom of our elders, for instance, to share the times that they've gone through. I'm not saying word verbatim to have to follow, but they have lived through. So experience also plays a huge role. Um, the, the the culprit is also, as far as the cause is, we always thinking short term. You know what? Been 40 years in this business, but I still think I'm like 20-year-old. Well, we don't stay at 20 or 20. Before you know it, time is flying. You look at our children, our grandchildren, we see how fast they grow. So you got to have this long-term horizon. And unfortunately, when you are constantly looking at this minute, the success for this minute, um, that's unfortunately doesn't bode well. Um, the last but not least is will be the, constantly thinking, would I can always rebuild my career. So after all the contracts done, again, unfortunately, it's not that easy. And they've learned all about one dimension, which is the art or athleticism, and that unfortunately cannot rebuild. So, but there's always that hope. So, uh, that's those are some of my causes. There's an old saying, a fool and his money are soon parted. Once you have to get wiser and more educated, but you know, managing and staying successful in money. So
Absolutely. Holy. Well, we always go back to let's think about what we learned about money from our parents.
yes,
And that's always a question I ask clients too. So, what did mom teach you about money? Well, my mom taught me that you could steal $5 from the grocery fund and go get your hair done. Um, and, then what did dad teach us about money? Um, well, dad taught us that don't spend money on stuff, spend money on experiences. So, of course, he came home a World War II veteran, and he knew there was more to the world than little tiny Nova Scotia, Canada. So for him, it was all about travel. And actually, my dad would borrow money to take us on a holiday, but he would never borrow money to buy a car, buy a house. My parents didn't own their own home until he retired.
uh,
And having been a veteran, he lived out of a duffel bag, and stuff didn't mean anything to him. It was all about experiencing life. And then what about school? What did school actually teach us about money? Well, in my generation, they taught us, what does a nickel look like? What does a dime look like? What does a quarter look like? That was the extent of our financial education. But you're all about the educational side now. And let's just have you I see our guests have arrived, so we want to get them on here. Just in closing, and please stay with us as we bring on Jay, our founder, and his guest, Wayne Farley. Over to you, Ramin, in your 40 years of trading, investing, helping athletes build their portfolios, manage their portfolios. What is it that you would, if there was one thing you could say to an audience right now, what would it be about money? And I'm
oh
putting you on the spot, I realize.
no, I mean, it's my mission and vision definitely is having the right education with the right application, which inspires you with your heart. So the right direction, right education that you can apply. It's not just theories. And if but it is all about that, and it has to start at a younger age. But I know you're a big believer of having the parents have to be educated first so they can be a good role models. So it does start with the parents, individuals who follow what again, with the education, they can follow the path of success. And that's all that I'm hoping to accomplish sooner than later. That's what I've been doing mentoring for 17 years. So I'll love to pursue this with even bigger communities. So yes, so I would say education, one word, but
Right
application
on.
of that wisdom or common sense education. So yes.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So we're just going to take a little 30-second break, and I like to do this because I want to let people know that if you have a beautiful product, program, service that you would like to feature on the Today Show, this would be a time when you could do it. So I just want to flash this up so you have some idea, and then we're going to bring our guests on for the last segment of the show. Thank you
Awesome.
very much, Dr. Ramin Modiri. Real pleasure to have you on the show today. Welcome back. You're listening and watching the Today Show, coming to you live today on a variety of platforms. And we're not going to take up any more time because our beautiful founder, not beautiful, sorry, handsome founder, Jay Stoyan, and his guest, Wayne Farley, are here to give us an update. You guys are schmoozing it up here today. Over to you, Jay.
Hey, Dr. Laurie, thanks for
Hey.
having us on today. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I'm down here, downtown Toronto. I'm down here at the AMG studios with executive entertainment man, Dwayne Farley. Wow. And I'm here with Mark. The studio is packed here. So again, on the show today, we have entertainment executive Dwayne Farley from AMG. He's going to come on. He's right here. He's going to tell us all about his wonderful career. These guys are so busy, Dr. Laurie and Ramin. It's wonderful. So again, we're down here downtown Toronto at Spadina and Queen Street area. It's hustle, bustle, and the room is filled with about, I don't know, like 15 people here. So it's great. So Dwayne, thanks again for being on the show. I know you're super busy guy, so really appreciate this. I want to introduce you to Dr. Laurie and Ramin, and you take it away, Dwayne.
Hello, Dr. Laurie and Ramin. Thank you, Jay, for bringing me on today. I'm excited to be here on this show.
What I can do is I'll set it up. Tell our viewers, what is an entertainment executive? What do you exactly do in your day-to-day operations, and how do people get in touch with you, Dwayne?
Allergy season. Well, we're here at the AMG Corp with my business partner, Marcus Berry. My entertainment career started, believe it or not, 25 years ago. Yeah, Laurie. I attended an event in Toronto, and there was a promoter outside by the name of Keith Baker, and he was promoting a show. I had lost my friends, and he asked me if I could help him hand these flyers out for his show he was doing. So that's how it all began. From there, we did shows with, this was in the live entertainment space, so he did concerts like Usher, Kanye West, John Legend, Alicia Keys, Chris Brown, comedy shows with like D.L. Hughley and Russell Peters, also plays with Vivica Fox, Brian McKnight. So it really inspired me because at that time in my life, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I knew that I wanted to be in entertainment, but how? The hardest part of figuring it out is the how. So I got to figure it out working with Keith, and then from there I went to the Harris Institute for the Arts, where I studied recording arts management. And I was always just like a sponge, just eager to learn more and more about the business. I met Mark through a mutual acquaintance, and I was going to begin working with Mark, but I was in a car accident, which took 3 years out of my life with physiotherapy. Mark kept in touch with me during that time, and I had damage to C5 and 6 in my neck. So imagine doing 3 years of physiotherapy, and despite Canada having one of the best healthcare systems, it still took me 18 months to see a specialist. So I did spinal decompression. Then when I finally went to see the specialist and they checked all the x-rays, they said I didn't need to have surgery on my neck. So if the spinal decompression didn't work, they were going to have to fuse the vertebrae in my neck. And everyone's a doctor, but they all didn't graduate at the top of their class. So I didn't want to take those. I didn't want to take those, right? So after that, when I told Mark I was okay, he said, okay, well, come in Monday. So I spoke to him Thursday, and he said, come in Monday. And from 2016, I've been here.
Wow. What a great story. That's a great story. And you know what? I know Mark myself now, and that's Mark. Like that's so Mark. So wow, that's great, Dwayne. That's a great story. And it's all about kindness. And of course, when you say you almost were disabled, which is, it's very close to everybody. And this is why we have the disability channel, to try and help people when they're at their lowest. So let me ask you a question now, Dwayne. So I'm a young guy. I'm 21 on the street, and I'm a creative guy, and I have a great idea, but all I have is a one-pager about my idea. And I want to come see you. I found out this guy, Dwayne and Mark, that you can approach these people. They're always looking for good content. So take us through a scenario that you've experienced where you just, met somebody off the cuff, and now you're working with them as a creator.
Okay, well, being in the creative space, I always tell people, like, we're standing right at the corner of art and commerce. So the creative guy who has a sheet of paper who says, okay, this is my treatment, or the artist who's like, oh, listen to my music, here's a USB stick. In their head, they already think it's valued XYZ. Mark and I are the guys who can actually assess it and help them monetize it and create value through various strategies that we have in the office. So for an artist, okay, you have a finished master, we listen to the songs. If we like the songs, it's a yes. If we don't, it's a no. Or we try to not discourage them, but tell them what needs to be improved upon. Normally, some of the songs, it's just a mix and master that needs to be done, so we can recommend them to someone who mixes and masters, get it up to industry standard for them. From there, we can market, promote, and distribute it through our company. So we have a distribution deal with Sony, a division of Sony. We have 2 publishing deals with BMG. And that kind of helps the independent artists put their music out, and then we do promotions for them, like getting them on playlists, soliciting them to music supervisors of film, TV, ad agencies, and video games. And our main goal for the artists when they work with us is to expand the audience. So if they have 1,000 monthly listeners, we can get them up to 10,000 monthly listeners or more. And we take great pride when we hear a song, like someone like Josh Turk, who we heard the music, like Hold On Virginia, and we're like, oh my God, this is amazing. We know exactly what to do with it, and it's been exposed to a wider audience. Someone like Anthony Brown, where we help nurture and cultivate his talent and business acumen. And then opportunities always arise for us. So that's how we pivoted into film. When we worked on the movie The Sacrifice Game, which last year was named the 3rd best independent streaming horror film of 2023 by The Hollywood Reporter. 2 weeks ago, our movie Bloodline Killers came out, and that has Bruce Dern, Tyrese Gibson from the Fast and Furious franchise, Shawnee Smith from Saw franchise, and Tanya Manning from Orange is the New Black. And we're working on in-house projects as well, like the biopic of Joe Frazier,
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali's greatest rival. And opportunities keep coming, but we keep working. So a lot of people have a job. I look at this as a career. This is like 25/8 for us here.
Wow.
I really appreciate sharing that inside baseball information because you know a young guy or girl who has a great idea. You guys are really doing great stuff, and from what I understand, they also get to keep their product, right? Like the old days are gone. Where I guess are the old days still around? Where you go down to Universal Studio and they'll sign you sign your life away, and then they own all your rights. Are those days still around?
Okay, the biggest misconception about an artist getting signed to a record label and how they demonize the record labels, I have to correct that. When someone is, say, I was working at a record label and I go to Steve's or Healy's or Lee's Palace and I hear a band and I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I just heard the next biggest band that no one's ever heard of. That person takes pride in finding that act, and they put their job on the line when they have to convince the label to sign this act. So when you see big acts like Bruno Mars or U2, there's over 100 people around the world who are working their releases. Okay, so the record label is like a bank. They're loaning you the money, and you have to pay it back. What happens with a lot of artists, they don't have the astute business manager or the business acumen because we're dealing with people left brain, right brain. Not all the time brain can get as big as my head is. I'm not like Megamind over here, right? So you need an astute business manager, partner, or you have to have the business acumen yourself. What fails artists is they record an album and then they fail to tour, right? Like the record label spends all this money to build the marketing and promotion to widen the audience for this artist. And the biggest thing that they don't do, they forget about, is wanting to go on tour. Now, we all have favorite acts here on this call, right? You name any one of your favorite acts, you'll have that after hearing their music, the desire to see them live when they go on tour.
Right.
100%.
Overwhelms you, like you have to be there. I have to see them, right? That's what the business is. So,
Right.
you know, the record label helps nurture, cultivate, and develop the act. The act's job is to go out there and tour. The show money and their merch money is theirs. They get a piece of the recordings, and you know, you have to have a good lawyer and an astute business manager. So the long and short of it, those days or artists getting signed to a label, the business model is changing. So we're in a paradigm shift right now. So you see like someone like Taylor Swift, whose father goes to a record label and says, I have $250,000, make my daughter the biggest star in the world. I believe more parents will be approached like that or given that opportunity if they have the financial wherewithal to do it.
Wow.
Well, that was exactly what our show was about today, guys. You know, why athletes, celebrities, and lottery winners and windfall winners, inheritance, and then it's gone. So that was our topic today. But Dwayne, I have a question.
Okay.
Is it okay if old people come to you with a good idea?
Yes, it's definitely. You wouldn't believe this, but we were approached by a gentleman from the United States who does Frank Sinatra covers.
Oh, yes.
And we're really excited about that because there's a huge opportunity for Frank Sinatra music to be placed in films,
Right.
where he owns the master and you can sell it at a discount and no one will tell the difference.
Yeah.
Right?
This is great.
Yeah. Well, I was
So-
just wondering because.
And I don't like the term old people. I like the term more experienced people.
Oh, you know the term I like?
Which one?
Sexy seniors.
Oh, well, in 19 years, I'll be able to use that term.
Oh, well, hey, get some time in is all I can say.
Yeah.
Well, this is great. Ramin, do you want to jump in with a question?
Or comment.
No, I'm just enjoying it. It is again, Dwayne, it's wonderful in just a short time. That was very educational. I really appreciated your story as well. And I work mostly with athletes, and but it's the same line. And
Hey, Ramin, I mean, hey, if you work with athletes, bring them on over. We have lots of film opportunities and TV opportunities that they could invest in. Yeah.
There you go.
awesome.
Yeah, we offer 120 return on your money
Cool.
plus profit sharing.
Great.
There you go. We're going to
There we
talk.
go. I think I already mentioned that to you, Ramin, that I needed to talk to you about something in that line. Yeah.
So again, I'm gonna jump in here because I know Dwayne has to take off, but I really
Yes.
want to thank Dwayne for coming on today. Dwayne,
Yeah.
if people want to find out more information, where could they learn about your website or anything like that, please?
Yep, please visit the AMG Corp at theamgcorp.com. And you'll go to the team section. You'll see me, you'll see Mark, and our whole team there.
That's great. Before I let you guys go, I just want to thank Mark again, and let people know that the link for his SiriusXM interview will be out this week. So we'll be showcasing it on our platform and sending it to AMG and spreading it around the world because these guys are doing great things for independent artists. So again, I thank you, Laurie. I thank you for taking the time to have us on today, Ramin. Awesome. I'm going to let you guys go, and we'll talk later.
All right, take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Well, wasn't that exciting? So that's what Jay wants to do is when he's doing his day-to-day activities, the people that he meets, if he can bring them in and kind of end our show with a special surprise guest. So that was kind of fun. And it was right on line with what you and I were discussing today. How cool is that? Like the universe is I didn't know. All right. Well, our time is up, and I just want to thank you, Dr. Ramin Modiri, for being with us today on our Financial Tuesday. And tomorrow we look forward to Dr. Susie Mearswick is going to come on for our wellness show, and she's going to talk about a high-tech way to reduce chronic pain, no medication. So we're excited to hear from her. All right, Ramin, have a great day, and we'll
by the way, if I get a gift, is that
Yes. We do have gifts from the show to you, which
not
I will.
me. I mean,
Yeah,
for the
you're
audience.
going to give a gift. So what is that going to be?
Well, again, it's the gift of education. We have a couple of books, but I thought it might be more valuable if you do 1 hour consultation. If there's anyone who is interested in finding more solution or answers to some of the concerns that they have, I'll be happy to spend that 1 hour with them. So as a opening and hopefully giving them some good path to follow. So
That would be simply amazing. So we will put that in our basket for our Friday draw.
awesome.
Okay. Anybody who is interested in being in the draw, just email me, theloridavisShow@gmail.com, and we'll put you in for the draw. Okay. Have a great rest of the day, Ramin. And
Thanks very much. You the same.
you bet. And we'll just say goodbye to everybody for now.
Thank you. Bye.